Okay, so today we're going to present you how to start from here to where we want to go towards RBA economy. First, we can present. I'm Alex from Quebec. I study electrical engineering, and I am currently working in a nuclear and particle physics research laboratory. My colleague Leo can present himself. I think are you mute, Leo?
Won't be long.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Hello, I'm Leo too. I'm studying in electrical engineering, and my developments focus on system engineering.
Okay, so we understand that this presentation can be dense, and by dense I mean like every sentence and every word are there and contain a lot of information. So we will more like touch every single point, and then through feedback and discussion and more documentation, you can have a better view in details of every one of those. So I would suggest like take notes for stuff you don't understand, and then or you disagree or you want to challenge. So yeah, a solid starting base which emphasizes on technical and social aspects through gradual isolation and project-based development.
Basically, we'll be defining the needs, the feasibility, and the structural and architectural design of a new society from a technical perspective and social engineering point of view using the scientific method. First of all, I know a lot of people usually focus on an isolationist view of resource-based economy. They want to build a big system that's isolated from the present system. But we think that's not really feasible and unrealistic, mainly because of four problems: complexity, lack mean of financing, motivation, and isolation. With the first one, complexity, a big scale project like that is really complex and hard to design system. It's require a lot of planning, and from the get-go, it's not really possible to implement. Like any engineering project, things are really different when you play them than how you planned it. So, complete instantaneous mobilization of all the mean and the people is unpractical and unrealistic. It's really hard to implement something and hope to have it working as you designed it.
Yeah, so as like we say, R&D project, what you do when you want to do iterative design is you design it so if you want to change, for example, if you notice with statistical analysis that a certain type of architecture is not the most efficient, but then if you have designed it in order that it can be modified, it's much easier. That's why you have to start with a small town, a learning town, and then you increase in size as you learn. Yeah, the adaptation on small skills projects is the most important.
Okay. So after complexity, lack of mean of financing. This is important too because setting up a complete society needs to have all basic needs covered. So food, shelter, transport, everything has to be provided. And all of those services cost a lot of resources and manpower. So it's really hard to think it can be implemented. We don't have, personally, we don't have that much resources. So if you want to build something big and that change society, it can't be done from scratch.
Yeah, like it's really environmental friendly and cost efficient just because of the economy of scale. For example, you produce a product, and the first one you produce costs you 100% of what all the infrastructures around it cost. And as you produce more and more, it resources. I think it's a basic concept, but it's really an advantage to produce stuff, to make money out of it, to buy those resources just because they are produced in so big scale that they are efficiently, they are resource-wise efficient for you. So, and as you go, yes, you can start producing your own things, but at the start it's too complex. So you rely on human engineering. This can let you having access to all of the knowledge we currently use in the world.
Yes. So after that, isolation, some people want to completely isolate themselves, but some basic needs and services that are provided by the society itself, like internet, healthcare, sewers, and complex services, are really hard to implement. You can't build your own internet because you're gonna lose on what's out. You really have to understand that those services can't be abandoned. You really have to include them, and through a connection with society, because people in general, they won't follow a project if it's not easier for them, and they just want their life to be easier. So if we really want this to grow to big scale, we have to understand this. It's important to gain traction through the facility of life that we're going to bring.
Yeah, so that's why most eco community and small community projects never went to big scale, because people have to sacrifice too much. Like Jacques Fresco and all the Venus project has a good work in that field. When you go away from scarcity, you can get away from those aberrant behavior. So what you have to do is go towards abundance and access. With that, we know that you can provide motivation. If people, they don't need to work, but they have a high standard of living, they will be more motivated to go towards projects, and it will be easier to manage in a big scale. So that's why we must give up no standard of living. The core point of it is providing accessibility to people.
And two, motivation, because if you cut yourself from outside society, it would ask to too much devotion. People have to be completely devoted to the cause, because they will be disconnected from people, friends, family, and culture. So some people will lose motivation if for too long they have to focus on this project and be cut from outside society. They will lose motivation and they won't be part of the project anymore. So we have to conclude on that. So everything, a lot of people have tried to implement a RBE system or a money-free system, but it never reached global scale. And there are reasons because of that, principally what we went through. So, but those problems are surmountable. And if we analyze them through logical thinking and scientific reasoning, we think we have arrived to a system or a design that will solve those problems with what we've designed.
Okay. Next. Okay, so here's the plan of the presentation. As you can see, it can be dense, but we're going to go through what can be the interface between the society and the outside world through a company, all the importance of life change by reducing resources consumption and like giving up, for example, property going towards accessibility, feasibility through communal living, optimization, minimal state income, and specialization and efficiency. This is, for example, you don't need one toilet per person. So as you go up in scale, you can gain resource efficiency with that. The very important of automation. You have problem when you have to, for example, do a task, but we have to, like Jacques Fresco say, hire ourselves to hire beings to pursue higher things. So you get rid of all those. This is all Venus Project standard knowledge. So, also, how the architectural design and transport and delivery system can be implemented in a small scale system. Yes, as you grow, you go more toward Venus project design, but at the start, it's not efficient at all to produce it. Progressive removal of the grid, how social connection are mainly focused on through a digital application, and how the education system will work in this transition society. So, okay, so how you start is you have a multidisciplinary company as an interface. So basically, everyone in the city are like employees of the company. The company, what they do is that they provide shelter, entertainment, food, and high standard of living. if you want to do projects, the company allow you resources to do them. We will see how does it work later. And this is really multidisciplinary. So you want to do a brewery, you want to do music, you want to do engineering. No matter what, there are ways to make money out of it. And even though, like you know, that only 5 to 10% of people are really useful to society, the rest is all waste of resources and manpower. For example, with all the monetary system, and this is all TVP standard knowledge. So the challenge is to be free from ownership. So how you start a company is that people invest in it and then they end up possessing the majority of your company. So that's why you have to auto found yourself. So maybe with past project or create a company before, or with collecting money. We will see how a project approach would be efficient, and also a gradual transitioning to cryptocurrencies. Because as the company expand, you don't want to encourage the monetary system, and you want to get rid of all the banking middlemen. So going towards cryptocurrency is a good way to do it as a transition. Like the only difference with the usual business models is the yellow circle that you see, which is we believe that if you provide people accessibility, then they can. Okay, next.
So, of course, some changes in life habits will have to happen, even in the small community. So first, waste reduction. So investment in durable tools and equipment, like, for example, an aluminum glass instead of glasses that are easy to break and cost a lot more. Technically, just investing in things that are more durable, but may cost a little more. Because in the long run, it will be more efficient. Technical recycling, reusing things, using waste as new resources. For example, the toilet that Bill Gates designed that recycle wastes, human wastes, into fertilizers and combustion propellant. Of course, we're going to have to give up on physical property to move toward access-based systems, just because it's more efficient and really much more cost savings. And social inclusion. We will have to include more of the others, to be open to others' discussions, and just in general be inclusive.
Okay. So this is, like, I will not go in that much. I see we don't see the entire thing because of the people. I don't know if you can. Okay, yeah, you can move that.
Okay.
Yeah, and put it on the bottom. So this is the overview functioning of the society. It may be dense, but we can do a quick overview. So basically, the red lines are the main injection of money, and the orange line are the intermediate injection of money and resources. As you can see, you have the company at the center, and then on the right, you can see that you have the society and the human resources, which are the people that are at the very core and the center of the society. What you have, let's start with the left. So you have the monetary market environment. What we can do is you can exchange goods and services through the company. So you can also have, for example, a steady income. If you live close to a city, you can have like autonomous car bringing you to work. And then with only a minimal steady income, you can sustain this type of society and bring what you can. For example, if a lot of people work in the same city, then they can work in the autonomous car if you can provide them internet. So it doesn't matter if you have to do an hour and a half of traveling, but this is minor details. What you see on the top is efficiency purchasing of required goods in big bulk. And what you do is you do a lot of data acquiring, and it's a statistic. Like you will see later how it can be efficient. So there are two types. You can request resources for infrastructures, like in habitation enhancement or project like laboratories and stuff. And you have resources for intern projects. So what someone do, and then the resources are allowed to you, and then the people, they give the manpower to it. If the project you're doing can be profitable for society, then you can directly implement to make people benefit from it. If there is a market or outreach partnership possibility, then we can pair up you with a project management team, and then we can inject additional money to build more infrastructure. So since this is a direct investment, from a business point of view, it doesn't matter. Those resources are going to be allowed. So if you do a project, for example, you design a motor drive or anything, and then you want to create a laboratory to work towards that, then the thing you are generating, they are generating money to build more infrastructure to sustain the people that will work on project and enjoy their life better. Like we say, the higher standard of living you have, the better people are have motivation. So like you see, the project can, through the direct investment, build new infrastructures. Every one of those boxes, there are many more information about it, but this is more of an overview, so you can pinpoint later. So Statistic Canada showed how people spend like 50% of everything they own just for shelter, food, and transportation. We really believe that if you can do efficient management of this, you can save a lot of resources and allow. Oh, and I forgot something really important. There was the red line that shows how everyone has a small salary, because basically you are still connected to the outside world, and we think that traveling and, for example, go see your family and stuff, it's a really important part of life. But if you don't spend money, okay, you can go back to the next slide. If you don't spend money on or resources on food, shelter, or anything you need, then this can be used for anything you want, like, but mainly traveling. Okay, next. So this is how it will work from a resource management point of view. Basically, you have the employee budget, which is like resources, through data collection and statistical analysis, for example, machine learning and big data statistical analysis. You provide food, shelter, and transportation. So a study has shown that if you use, for example, organic food, buying in big bulk, you can save up to 93% of the cost. So by providing it, and then with analysis, you can see what is used, what is not, with the prevention date, everything automated. Also, you will see how you have to produce your food inside of the society, like with hydroponic, permaculture, and even conventional agriculture. But for a lot of stuff at the start, you don't have all of this, so you have to rely on this. Also, what you do is the company also provide entertainment for projects. Everything is going towards a sharing system. So, for example, people have cars and then they use them 5% of the time. 95% of the time it's either parked at your place or parked somewhere, so it's completely useless. What you have is you provide, for example, outdoor gear. So then you have a storage place where you can do a request through the app that you want this gear, and then you can go and take it, like Jacques Fresco explained all of this. And then when you are over, you take it back there. For example, musical instruments. You can take musical instruments and then you want to change. So everything go towards sharing. And by doing that, you can provide high quality equipment for everyone. And for example, if you have several cities and there are too much TVs on this city, then you can do resource exchange. And we really think with data acquiring, you can optimize this to work better. Yeah. So example of project for income, which is just for fun, like we say, everyone is an employee, but you don't have any schedule, you don't have anything. It's just you do it if you want. For example, software developer, we think it's a really useful tool at the start because you don't need that much resources and you can produce a lot of external projects. What you can do towards hydroponic system automation design, sell fresh grown organic and environmental friendly food. You want to do a brewery, you want to produce music, and we can create a label for you, and etc.
Yeah, or another example is tourism would be a really good source of income, because you just think about people will want to visit the new system we try to create, and for a small cost they'll be sheltered, nourished, and everything. They will have access to the same other things that others do, and if it's basically going to be used as a publicity for external system. Of course, 2 online courses, because with the technical knowledge of people working in that company, it's going to be easy to outsource that knowledge to projects. What we expect to see in the system is a relative growth in efficiency over time. following an exponential growth, because as you make things better, things are getting better at getting better. So it should go exponentially fast. We have this concept of sustainability cost, basically what it costs us to sustain one individual. At the start, it's going to be high. It's going to cost us a lot to take someone new in the company and provide for him. But as the time goes on, as we automate things and we make things easier, and as we add more people, it's going to cost us less and less to sustain someone. And the line, the orange line that you see is the poverty line. So basically, at which point you're considered poor. Well, if the sustainability cost drops below the poverty line, it basically means that anyone can join the company and be productive and gives us more money. It's basically the system that nations have tried to implement, but we don't have are cheap. So.
Okay, so a quick summary of that. It's through a minimal income and specialization and efficiency, it can be done. So this project can be started either from 2 people and 2 to 5 people, or like 25 to 30 people. For example, what 2 persons will do, they will buy a house for $300,000 each, and then with, for example, $600,000 through design and using modern technology, you can provide it for like 25 people only for the cost of 2. So that's why it's really doable at that scale if you design it for a small scale project. Specialization, by this I mean providing high quality equipment. So instead of everyone having 1 kitchen in every house, you provide a big kitchen with better tools. If this is done and is done properly, so that you can give access to people, then at the end of the day, everyone has access to high quality equipment. And if there are not enough equipment, like we said, you just buy more. For example, you see how 3 bathrooms for 6 people is more efficient than 2 bathrooms for 4 people, because the statistical chance that, for example, someone is using it decrease. So it's not a linear thing. So as you have more and more people, you can have less and less goods, and people will have more accessibility to it. Yeah, by specialty, and also, like we said, 5% of the time you're using something. If you go away from that, you can save a lot of resources. Going also towards prefabricated housing design for efficiency, for example, 3D printed house. We'll go in more details later. And what you want is, you don't want something to be standard and like everyone is the same. It's like Jean Fresco say, you can do what you want in your own personal house. You can choose from designs, and interior designer can make it good, appealing, also for tourism, but also just for people to be happy. So, but for that, you need a steady income. What you don't need is an exponential growth.
Okay, so from a technical standpoint, it's 3 points we must focus on and that are important to the implementation. So, of course, a technical automation, that means automation of jobs that are not fun to do, and just things that are non-desirable for people focusing on. So everything like food, cuisine, everything that can be automated will be automated to reduce what people have to do. That will, of course, reduce the minimal required rentability of newcomers and the minimal sustainability cost. Social automation, basically, we will bring it through the project-based app that we will later discuss, but really bringing people together in order to create better living standards and a better general happiness. And of course, the open source platform, everything has to be open to the public and hosted on public servers on site. This will reduce the risk of resource waste as well as bias development. For example, it's more efficient to have an open source platform. If someone wants to work on a project during their free time or help on a project, they have every resource and every information that they need to do that. So that will basically be brought through project-based organization. So pretty much every part of society can be brought and seen through a project-based point of view. it allows for continuous iterative amelioration. Basically, you can make things better and better as you go. And it's really a driving force that pushes you forward and gives a better sense of community through the realization of those projects.
And it's also easier to manage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are design draft for architectural design. So what you do is you use printed house. For example, there is this company that can print you a 12-meter square house in concrete for $10,000. So, and if like you can rent some of them, and it's in 24 hours. So by doing that, you greatly reduce the cost of shelter. So what you do, you save time. You can make them adaptable. You can redo a design as the city grows. You can do different design at different places. That's why we are not sure, because prefabricated house passed to a certain quantity are really efficient. Like you can produce them into factories, but 3D printed house, they are so adaptable that we think we have to go through that, but more analysis will have to be done. And it's mainly for the scalable. Once you reach a big enough scale, and then your design are completely like kind of perfect, let's say, because you've learned from all the past city, then we think that prefabricated house will take over. Yeah, and what you want to do is you want to have multifunctional areas. So for example, this is a draft of in-habitation design, and all of this to be cost efficient. So basically, as you can see on the left, you remove, so what you have in your house, you don't have like, for example, a bathroom and stuff, but you have access to a bathroom. You don't have a personal cuisine, your kitchen, you have, in fact, you have anything that you want in your small hub. And then you have what we call the center hub. So this is a 2-story hub and also circular design just because it's more efficient, like you know. For example, and then you provide kitchen, cafeteria, common space. What you have to generate your heat is you have computer and server rooms that they can work towards cryptocurrency. You can let the computing power, you can rent this to company, you can use them inside. For example, people that want to play video games or anything, they have access to those systems. And the heat that is generated is used to warm the water and to heat up. So that way you don't lose resources and you don't have to make electricity go to a resistor and just lose heat that way. We believe in privacy. So if yes, you don't have a bathroom in your place, but then you go there and they have standalone place with doors that you can go and close and be. But that way, like you can see, you don't need to provide as many as you will have if you put them in every single. For example, you have hobby spaces that you can, I don't know, play music or whatever. And then at the second floor, you have like working area, because at the start, you have only those small hubs and they will be really cost efficient. They will be super cheap. So then you can work on your project there, but you will see as you will grow that bigger hub will be created. Also, for example, you have private multimedia and common space multimedia. You have like a theater room, but if you want to just watch TV or watch Netflix, then you go there and then through the app, you can see what is available. And then with data collection, you can see what is used, what is not, and then adapt for that. What you have left. So I think, yeah, and all of this has to be embedded with the environment, of course. It can be scalable. So as you will increase in size, you will go more toward Venus project-based architecture. But this is really cost efficient. So that's why that's why you have to do a small town at first, and then learn from it. And then when you are to do the second town, you can use all your knowledge to a new design to go towards it. For example, yeah, go back to the.
Sorry.
So you can see that an hydroponic and storage system can sustain 3 hubs. So it can be efficient in that way. Yes, I think it's obvious that you produce your own food internally. What you have is you go toward automation and domotics. So, for example, you want to cook something, and then you go on an app, you say I want to cook that, and then they say, oh, this is what you need, and then it can pinpoint exactly where in the hydroponic farm the veggies are available, so you can go there and pick them. You can do stock management. You don't need to store the food if it's growing constantly, so this is a really efficient storage system. Also, as you increase, you can add bigger hubs for gyms and stuff, and outside the area you have like agricultural lands or in parks, but those we can be discussed more in details. So this is really important to understand that this is a scalable adaptation. So as you go with more resources, then you change, because like we said, the 3D printed may not be the more efficient way as you grow in size. Yeah, the design will adapt. I think I said everything in that. Oh yeah, a food specialized center, for example, you can go to a Thai restaurant. What they do is they are super efficient at producing Thai food. So then you can have some of those hubs distributed in the city, and then with autonomous car and system delivery, you can bring food to people and even automate food. But this is another discussion that we can talk about. All with autonomous car. Yeah, and the transport system, we don't want anyone to drive cars because it's not safe and it's way not efficient. So that's why we go more towards autonomous general network. All of this, yeah. So as people don't have to work for money, there will be a big space empty. So the social connection are highly encouraged. So what you want to do is to pair people that have connections together. For example, they want to play music, then they go, I don't know if you know the app Meetup, but it's like this. So you say what you want, what you like, and then it can propose you events and have notifications. For example, people that want to hike, then they can pair up with people to go do travel, play music, etc. Art projection, and then this can allow better project advancement because people that are together, they can discuss and improve. Yeah, and public space, and yeah, you have to need a lot of events to keep people together. So like music shows, you have a place where you can meet people. And oh yeah, and mentoring for project is highly promoted. So if you're working on something and then there are people interested, then sharing your knowledge and make them work with you will be a lot more effective than just writing documents. Yeah.
Okay, so basically we were talking a lot about an app, but what we intend to develop is basically an app that connects the users, the project, the society, and the resources and information that are available. Mostly it will regulate the social interactions of the people living in the system. So bringing everyone together. It will be brought up by a personal profile that links you to everything that you've done, everything that you've been connected to, every project you've worked on, every resources you used is going to be completely available. Project creation by individual, by users. This will allow to drive forward and connect people together through social interactions. Everything of the society will be brought up by the app. So every transport that you can ask for, every resources that you ask for will be asked through the app. Of course, it will also provide open access to every information and resources that you could need, basically connected to the server. It will take the form of kind of global app that will provide every information, every possible part of society. So we have an example of a user diagram, but basically how this works is, for example, to take earlier example, you want to go hiking. Well, you can. You just create, someone is drawing, but you create a project. You say, well, I want to go hiking. Okay, I want to go that date. You create the project, the interface uploads it and asks the servers for resources. Like we need 1 car to go there. Then the project is approved and the project is proposed to other users. So everyone can see on the app, well, I can go hiking. If they want, they just click and they go toward, they click on the app, they say, I want to. And if enough people want to, well, it's confirmed and the resources are allocated to them. And it's set and the car reserved and everything. So this works too for food creation. So metal, for example, someone want to cook dinner for 5 person. Well, okay, he go on the app and say what he's gonna cook and for how many people and what he needs. The resources are checked and approved, and then everyone see that this meal is disponible. So they say, hey, I want to eat that. So they click, and the project is approved, and the kitchen is reserved for them, and they have access to it, and it's done. So it really is in the optic of easing connection, social connection, and optimization. This can be used for renovation, social gatherings, everything that you can think of can be seen through this project-based development.
Yeah, and I just want to add something. For example, you know how cooking for 5 people or for 20 people is not that much more. So as you go to the targeted user, yeah, so then you can see how many people they want you. So then you can adapt, for example, your recipe or anything to sustain more people. And just to mention that this is the same functioning for any project, like engineering project or human science project, anything. Okay, so how the education will have to work? We don't want the education to be like, you know, this is TVP basic knowledge, but it's not a thing that you do for a day. It's more something that is included in your everyday life. So what you do is you build a strong online-based platform with like that people can create courses and lecture and stuff. If you want to learn of a certain subject, you can subscribe, and then you have documents that are sent to you, videos, and then you can be linked to people that can be the mentors for you, and then you can be involved in project. Everything is project approach. So basically, the student or / resident is in the center and have access to the resources he wants to learn. Also, I think that we see a lot in engineering is that they make you work on a really big project, and then at the end of the day, they scrap this project. So what you want to do is make people learn dynamically, and then through working on something, then you can practice your knowledge. And if it turns out that what you do works, then it can be directly implemented. So this is what you have. But this works for any field. Psychology, you want to work with children, you can go and assist to class and work directly in contact with humans. The only thing that will be basic is the center core cultural value system, so like self-critique, scientific method, and everything that is value system for Venus project. But we can go in more in detail. This is more like an overview presentation.
About the production of energy, of course, it's going to cost a lot to isolate completely yourself. So initially, we'll start from the grid, but allow for a gradual transition to renewable sources like solar, wind, geothermal, and so. For now, the best energy that there is solar, because the cost is rapidly descending and getting better and better by the day. Just a small graph to show approximately what it's about. We see that it's an exponential decreasing. So we think I put some numbers here. It's between 14 to 18 for $1,000 for an household. Basically, it's really good right now, but it's going to get better and better with the years. And of course, possibility of savings when you store energy for gradual uses, and globalization of energy will bring low cost and efficiency to the system. Okay, so and also that's why we think, for example, a country like Canada or any social country are a good place to start, because everything is so cheap and available for you. We are heading to the end slowly, so mid to big scale implementation. As we said, as you increase in skill, you change your design and adapt it more for Venus project, because as we have reviewed all the documentation, it's really well designed. Even though there are certain points we disagree with, but I think with a reasonable and scientific method, they can be changed. What you need to do also is, so like you create a small town and then increase in size as you learn. And at the end, what you want is, like Jacques say, it's a final product. It's a design thing that everything is interconnected, and everything is designed to have multifunctional, to be multifunctional and to be used for several purposes. Also, we really think that you need to be a multinational past a certain point, because if you reach a certain scale and then you become a kind of a threat for the monetary system, then they have more resources than us, and they have everything that for example, to screw this up. But if you are multinational, then you can compete with them. So if you have sales all around the world in several countries, then you are no longer a slave of politics.
So that way you can grow. And like we say, as you grow, you isolate yourself more and more, and so you start producing your own goods, and so you are moving away from the monetary system to finally end up in a big scale. But even at the start, everyone in this society inside, they don't have any interaction with money. They just have everything they need, and they just live their life. It's just for a company point of view that there is still a connection.
So that's reached the end of the conclusion.
Yeah, so we understand that this is dense in the sense that, yeah, all of those subjects, we just present them and not really go to details, but they have been discussed and we have answers for almost all of them. And for the one that we don't, we are more than open to discuss. Who do we need? Like, we need people to be involved in all the different fields, for example, of science, human science, art, culture, anything. What do we want is, so we present it to you because we want you to challenge it or certain points. So we can go through discussions, but also if you have pinpoint, you can write what you understand from the point you want to talk about, and then what you disagree or want to challenge or bring, and then we can answer. So by being more structured, like it's not, for example, if you say something that you disagree, but then we see that you don't understand the thing, that it's going to be not efficient. So we really think through feedback, this is how you can have a better understanding of this. So, and no need to be polite. Yeah.
So
Thanks.
that's basically it. So thank you all for listening.